In the previous video, we completed the ladder logic program for our four-way traffic light system. In today's lesson, we're going to simulate the project using PLCSim to verify that our logic works exactly as intended. Before we start the simulation, there are two small improvements we need to make to our program. The first is to connect our timer preset values to the tags we created in the data block. This will allow the timer durations to be adjusted directly from the SCADA interface instead of being hard-coded inside the ladder logic. Open the data block we created in the previous lesson. At the bottom of the table, you'll find the three variables with the time data type. These are the timer settings we'll use throughout the project. At the moment, all three start values are set to 0, so let's give them some default values. The north-south_go tag controls how long traffic traveling in the north-south direction is allowed to move, so we'll set it to t#15,000 milliseconds. Next, the east-west_go tag controls the green time for traffic traveling east and west. We'll temporarily set it to t#10,000 milliseconds. Finally, we'll set the yellow_light_time tag to t#15,000 milliseconds. Now let's connect these variables to the timers in our ladder program. The first timer controls the north-south green phase, so we'll connect its preset time, or PT, to the north-south_go tag. The second timer controls the yellow light phase, so we'll connect it to yellow_light_time tag. Looking back at our timer settings, we can see that we've made a small mistake. The yellow phase should be much shorter than the green phases. Let's correct that now. We'll change yellow_light_time tag to t#10,000 milliseconds and set east-west_go to t#15,000 milliseconds. Now the timer values match the sequence we want to achieve. Next, connect the third timer to east-west_go tag, since it controls the east-west green phase. Finally, connect the fourth timer to yellow_light_time tag because it controls the second yellow phase before the sequence repeats. There is one final step before the PLC can execute our program. Although we've written all of our ladder logic inside a function, that function will never run unless it's called from main OB1. To do that, open main OB1. Insert an empty instruction box into the first network. Then search for the function we created earlier. Select it, and the function call will be inserted into OB1. Our ladder logic is now part of the PLC scan cycle and is ready to execute. We're now ready to simulate the project. Before continuing, make sure your project has been saved and that PLCSim is installed on your computer. There's one more setting I'd like to change before downloading the program. Open the properties of your data block. Under the Attributes tab, disable Optimized Block Access. Then click OK. For this project, we'll later connect these variables to WinCC Explorer. Depending on the version you're using, disabling optimized access makes it easier for the external SCADA software to access the data block variables reliably. Now select the PLC in the project tree. Before downloading any program, it's always good practice to compile the project first. Click Compile and wait for the process to finish. Once the compilation is complete, check the results window. As you can see, our project has compiled successfully with no errors or warnings. If you were working with a real PLC, this is where you would download the program directly to the controller. Since we're using a virtual PLC, we'll click Start Simulation instead. After a few moments, the download window will appear. Select the correct connection interface. Then click Start Search. Wait until your virtual PLC appears with a green check mark. Once it's detected, click Load. On the confirmation screen, click Load once again. After the download completes successfully, the PLC is ready to run. You can start it either from the download window or directly from the PLCSim window. I'll start it from PLCSim by clicking the Run button. The status indicator changes to green, confirming that the PLC is now running. There are several ways to test your program. Because we're using a global data block to store our variables, we can monitor and modify them directly from the data block. However, before doing that, I'd also like to briefly show you how to use a simulation table. Expand the simulation window and create a new simulation project. Once it's created, open the default simulation table. You can enter variables manually or simply load them automatically using the Import button. Once the variables are loaded, you can change their values directly from the simulation table by toggling the individual bits. For this project though, we'll perform the test directly from the data block. Open the data block and make sure all of the variables are visible. Also, make sure your virtual PLC is still running. Next, select the PLC and click Go Online. Once the project tree turns green, enable monitoring by clicking the monitoring glasses on your data block table. We're now ready to test our program. Double-click the monitoring value of the Start button. The value changes to true and the system on/off bit is immediately latched. Watch the sequence carefully. First, the north and south traffic lights turn green, while the east and west traffic lights remain red. After the preset time expires, all 4 traffic lights switch to yellow. Once the yellow phase finishes, the east and west traffic lights turn green, while the north and south traffic lights turn red. After 15 seconds, all 4 lights return to yellow once more. Finally, the sequence returns to the beginning, and the north-south green phase starts again. The cycle now repeats continuously, exactly as we designed it. That confirms our ladder logic is working correctly. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've just built and compiled a complete PLC program from scratch. If you're enjoying the series so far, consider subscribing to the channel. We're only halfway through the project. In the next video, we'll begin building the SCADA interface in WinCC Explorer, where we'll connect these variables to a graphical control panel and operate the entire traffic light system from the SCADA screen. The next lesson is already on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.